to come tonight. The man who wants to take God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, well, he has another grudge. He'll be here, and we'll have a little verbal combat coming up. And sportscast, the man who attacked the pledge, he won't leave it at that. He's going to join us. Now he's attacking chaplains in Congress. Atheist Michael Newdow and I battle it out next.
Of the Establishment Clause.
Who is the author of the Who's the author of the Bill of Rights? Do you know?
Oh, James Madison is generally
James Madison. That's right. Federalist Papers. You know the author?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
There's three of them. There's there's James Madison, Alexander Hamilton.
Who hired the first chaplain for Congress?
If we look in the entry in the Senate Journal for Tuesday, April 7, 1789, we find that the senators chose to create a committee comprised of 5 men who were to prepare rules for when the 2 houses of Congress joined in conference. The committee was also to take under consideration the manner of electing chaplains. 2 days later, in the House of Representatives, a similar committee was appointed. It too was comprised of 5 members. James Madison was one of those 5 appointees.
Which individual hired him?
Yes. Do you know?
I don't know.
James Madison in 1789.
Okay.
Did you know that?
And are we going to get to the part where he said that he thinks that it violates the Establishment Clause?
Well, excuse me, but you want to refer to some liberal activist judge in the Santa Fe case, that's fine, but I'm going to go directly to the source.
It was a 6-3 decision.
I'm going to go directly to the source, an activist court, excuse me, an activist court, but I'm going to go directly to the source. The author of the Bill of Rights, James Madison, hired...
When later asked if we should have chaplains, said it's a violation of the Constitution.
The first chaplain in 1789, and I got to tell you something, I think the author of the Bill of Rights knows more about the original intent, no offense to you and your liberal atheist activism, knows more about it than you do.
It is assumed that the 5 senators and the 5 House members took a vote on the chaplain matter, although apparently no record of that vote remains. Nor is there any record that any individual, much less James Madison, hired the first chaplain. In fact, there were 2 chaplains hired, one for each of the 2 houses of Congress, and all we know about Madison is what he wrote 3 decades later.
Are you going to mention the time when after he stopped and thought about it and he said specifically that it was a violation of the Establishment Clause?
Never saw any such quote by anybody, but
it's in Marsh v. Chambers, okay? You can read Marsh v. Chambers. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying to you is you think you have superior knowledge of the Constitution, and I'm telling you that the very author of the Bill of Rights is the first person to hire the first chaplain.
Although the majority obviously voted for congressional chaplains, who voted for and who voted against is apparently lost to history. All we really know is that on Saturday, April 25, 1789, the Reverend Samuel Provost was elected chaplain of the Senate. That on Friday, May 1st, Reverend William Lynn was elected chaplain of the House.
And you keep leaving out the part that when he was asked later in
his
his
life,
life,
making it up.
Okay,
I don't take you as a source because you've been inaccurate on a lot of things. Michael, I heard you mumbling during the break to somebody that I am clearly wrong, and I'm going to go on the record right now, that the very author of the Bill of Rights, James Madison, hired the very first chaplain.
In a letter to Edward Livingston, Madison wrote, "I observe with particular pleasure the view you have taken of the immunity of religion from civil jurisdiction. This has always been a favorite principle with me, and it was not with my approbation that the deviation from it took place in Congress when they appointed chaplains to be paid from the national treasury."
My point to you is, if we're going to get to the original intent of our framers and our founders on this issue, he clearly had an understanding that is different than yours in spite of some obscure quote that I question the authenticity of. So.
Are you going to go on record as saying that he didn't later in his life, when he sat back and thought about it, say clearly that it was a violation of the Establishment Clause?
I have never seen any such quote any place, anywhere, and frankly,
it's all
Michael,
over the place, and it's in Marsh v. Chambers.
In 1983, Chief Justice Burger of the United States Supreme Court, citing what has come to be known as Madison's detached memoranda, wrote in a footnote in the case of Marsh v. Chambers that in the 1820s, Madison expressed doubts concerning the chaplaincy practice. In fact, Madison went far beyond expressing doubts. He posited the question, is the appointment of chaplains to the 2 houses of Congress consistent with the Constitution and with the pure principle of religious freedom? He responded himself to his rhetorical question. In strictness, the answer on both points must be in the negative. And in case his view wasn't made clearly enough, he went on to say, the establishment of the chaplainship to Congress is a palpable violation of equal rights as well as of constitutional principles.
Wait a minute. Mr. Newdow, did James Madison, he authored the Bill of Rights, correct, sir? Is that correct, sir? Are you disputing he hired the first? Are you disputing he hired the first chaplain?
No, if you remember, you asked me the question. I said I didn't know, so I.
Well, the answer is he did. Well, maybe if you studied history a little bit more for the cases that you're involved in, you'd learn something. The point is, he did hire the first chaplain, and I would argue, as it relates to the original intent of our framers, that James Madison, who authored that Bill of Rights, knows more about it than you do. So, you know. You're trying to say what the intention was is different than what he hired the first chaplain.